Sorry about that. Forgot to adjust my music automatically, so I had to do it manually. That was a little annoying. But hello. I almost said good morning, and I remembered I can't legally say good morning. Not because things aren't good, but because it's not morning. Hello. This is definitely a lot later than the usual Saturday mornings, but I will be real with you. I could say I was doing stuff. I wasn't. I was watching House. I was watching House. Um, but I just wanted to kind of take it easy this morning. And I know I wanted to stream today, but I kind of didn't feel like waking up and adhering to my usual timeline. You know, it's the Christmas just happened. I got back from my family's house, and I just kind of want to take it easy, considering this kind of like a bonus stream because I really could have taken this week off. I was offered to take this week off. Heather offered to let me take this week off, and I was like, no, I think I'm good. I think I still want to, because I do. I did want to do something this week, but I think it's fitting to just do something like kind of fun outside of the normal time frame. So if you're watching this, congratulations. You're part of the secret special club that is watching this. Wanna get some progress on Mr. Barbatos. And we're just gonna have like a nice, it's raining for me right now, so it's a nice like rainy afternoon. I just wanna hang out and talk about stuff. About Gundam, about other things. Who knows what we'll talk about? I kind of already know what I want to talk about, but who knows? It could be anything. You could talk about whatever you want, and I will definitely respond to it. And I will respond to it, and we'll see how the conversation goes. We'll see what happens, and we'll see how you're doing, and how you're doing on this beautiful, rainy December afternoon. That's usually in the dead zone between Christmas and New Year's, where everyone is still recovering from having Christmas off. But also, we all know that we're about to have New Year's off too. I say this like I still have a desk job. I don't. I don't right now. But I've had a desk job, and I know exactly what this time space is like and how it's so much. I think I was on... Okay. I did this part where I had these two guys get in here. And now I work on the next... I'm still working on the chest unit, by the way. I should probably introduce the Gundam that I'm working on, aka what this stream is about. I'm working on Master Grade Barbatos. Started him last week. So far, we've only got the chest unit. Well, started the chest unit. We haven't finished the chest unit yet, but we certainly have started the chest unit. And now it's time for me to sort through a bunch of runners that I really don't organize, that I probably should. While I find the correct runner that I'm supposed to be. Now, that's B. I needed... Why is the multicolor one the E runner? The multicolor one is always the A runner. It messes me up so much. But maybe I'm just not remembering all the other kits where the multicolor runner is not the A runner. But for some reason in my brain, the multicolor runner is always the A runner. Even though it's not. It's the E runner. It's really messing up my flow. So therefore I can blame something that's not my own organizational skills when it comes to how long it takes me to dig up a single runner. And that's... Here we go. There we go. We found A1. Also gonna need the D runner. But I love the mechanics of Barbatos' chest, like torso unit. It's so fun. I love the exposed, we're gonna zoom in so we can actually see what's happening. I love the exposed pipes. I think they're such a nice little design feature of Barbatos. I love, all the exposed piping. It doesn't, like, Barbatos almost feels unfinished as a mech, which is, like, really jives with the story, where they're kind of just, like, a scrappy little team that has to pilot this seemingly unfinished looking mech, and I think it's really neat. I just like Barbatos. I like Barbatos. Surprisingly, this is the first time I've ever built MG Barbatos, considering this is one of the, like, MG, like, master grades of all time. Everyone loves MG Barbatos. And I too have been wanting to build MG Barbatos, but it took me a while to, like, get my hands on this kit because it is quite popular. Good morning, even though it's not morning. I will call you out on it. I called myself out on it because it's not morning. It is, in fact, almost, which is usually when I end, but I thought it would be fun to mix it up. Also because I woke up today and I was like, I don't want to do anything else. I didn't want to do anything this morning. And so I simply didn't. I truly, like, have no other justification. I was kind of just like, I know I usually, there's no other obstacles regarding me and why I didn't stream at the usual time. But I just felt like we're kind of all in this, like, hazy brain empty zone. And I wanted to, like, you know, that I'm relatable, you know? Like, I'm so real and I'm so relatable. I'm just like you for real. I too wake up in the midst of the Christmas to New Year's dead zone and am just simply brain empty. But speaking of Christmas, I had a good Christmas. I had a nice time. I was with my family for a few days. That was fun. I hung out with my family. It feels like morning to me because I woke up an hour ago. Honestly, I think that's everyone. I think I woke up at like 10 a.m. I woke up at like 10 a.m. I'm not even joking. I woke up at 10 a.m. because, you know, and then I, like, had my breakfast, which was a yogurt. And another thing that was, like, kind of crazy is my roommate is an early riser, and I was like, he wasn't even downstairs. I was like, part of me was like, well, it's 10 a.m. Maybe he's already come and gone. But usually, he makes breakfast sandwiches on Saturday morning, so I was like, I guess he hasn't come down yet. I have no idea. But I just, you know, I think about it and I'm like, oh, I have to stream at 11. So I'm just gonna get myself a yogurt and go on with my life. And I do that and I eat my yogurt and I start going upstairs. And I'm just so tired because I think I have some time before 11, because it doesn't take that long to have a cup of yogurt. And I eat my yogurt and I sit down for a moment just to, like, read my silly little webtoons while I wait for 11 to start setting up. And I'm like, I don't want to get up. I don't want to get up right now. I really don't. And so I don't. Quite simply, that is what happens. I wake up, I go about my morning. It was a little later than usual, but I go about my morning like I usually would. And then turns out, afterwards, when I'm, like, kind of just sitting around doing nothing, that's apparently when my roommate wakes up and he's like, oh my god, it's so late. I think it's everyone. Because even I'm like, usually I wake up, like, fairly early. I'm not, like, a 6 a.m. early bird, but I like to wake up earlier rather than later. Like, 10 a.m. is pretty late for me. And it's kind of crazy that my roommate, who's also usually an early riser, was also up really late. He woke up even later than I did. And so I was, like, Shit, man. I guess it's everyone. Oh, I'm not supposed to say that. I forgot. See, this is too loose. I'm getting too fast and loose. I forgot. I can't say bad words. Like, wow. I guess it really is all of us. I think this is just like a universal thing where it does, honestly, I will not lie to you, it kind of does still feel like morning to me. It doesn't really feel like the day's begun. I think the other thing is also, I've lately gotten into the habit of like, I had like a little moment, because you know, before this, I worked a 9 to 5 for a while, for a long time, and so, you know, I'm used to waking up and getting dressed and going about my day. But for whatever this is, no, this is the right one. This one's the other one, and this one goes this way, and this goes in here, and that goes in here. That goes like, I'm gonna say it does. That's just what makes the most sense to me. But anyhow, I think it's universal. I don't feel like it's morning either. I mean, I feel like it's still morning, even though legally I can't say that it's morning. It is 100% 1 p.m. And yeah, I'm used to like getting up and getting dressed for the day. And after I stopped having a 9 to 5, I like, I have some brain cells. I'm pretty sure this is totally how it's supposed to go. I'm so smart. I am so smart. Anyhow, it's morning somewhere in the world. Yeah, I think the only place it's still morning is the West Coast, because they're 3 hours behind the East Coast. Those of you who live west of Arizona, good morning to you too. Which I totally am. But yeah, I'm used to like waking up in the morning and getting dressed, but when I stopped having 9 to 5, I kind of stopped doing that a little. And I realized, wow, this is making me kind of depressed. And so I've gotten back into the habit of like waking up and getting dressed, even if I'm not like actively going somewhere. I still do that. But this morning, I just did not. I'm still in my pajamas. I know, pajama reveal. I'm still in my pajamas. I was like, yeah, that's simply, I don't know, man. For some reason, it just like did not occur to me this morning that I should maybe change out of my pajamas. I was like, I don't know. Usually I kind of just like do it, where I wake up and I do all of my stuff, and then I get dressed, and then I do the rest of my morning routine and all that stuff. But I just like, for some reason, it just like did not occur to me this morning to not change out of my PJs. So I'm still pajamaed. It really also is like, yeah, it makes sense why I'm like, yeah, oh my god, I can't believe I'm so tired. But also, it's still like PJ mode, but I think that's kind of going to be an all-day deal. I think that's an all-day situation. Like, this morning, what I did when I wasn't streaming, when I was supposed to be streaming, as I mentioned earlier, I was watching House MD. I wasn't doing anything else. I was genuinely just sitting around watching House. I kind of... This does not snap in here. I kind of just have to hold it and hope that it doesn't fall. Anyway. Oh, this totally goes this way. Oh my god, this totally goes this way! Because there's slots here. Even though the picture does really really does not do an amazing job at making this particularly clear how this slots into here. I have managed to understand it anyway. But yeah, and I'm not gonna lie to you, my plans for the rest of today are pretty similar to what my plans were this morning. That's continuing to watch. Well, I don't know if I'll continue to watch House MD. Over the Christmas, I have managed to start watching something that isn't House MD. I started getting back on Arcane because I watched season 1 and I'm terrible and I still haven't watched season 2 despite like literally counting down to the release date for season 2. Afternoon from Atlanta, Georgia, and flipping through YouTube and saw this live stream. Thank you for joining. Unfortunately, I can't say good morning to you either because you're in Georgia and thus, I think, in the same time zone as me. Because usually this is a morning stream, but I just didn't do that. I just didn't do that today. So instead, I think I'm going to say Barbatos is timeless, and thus it doesn't matter if I don't stream in the morning. This is supposed to okay. I will not lie to you. These check things are so big. This is supposed to get in here. These check things are quite vague and do not do an amazing job of actually telling me where things are supposed to go. I can simply only assume by visually confirming it. Oh, I also realized I try and filter out sound, but I feel like you could totally hear my desk shaking because of my leg. Another thing I forgot to do this morning. No, it's okay. We don't have to get into the weeds of my medication. It's too much. But yeah, I still have enough mental faculties that I can build a Gundam, allegedly. But yeah, I will not lie to you, I really like this build, and I like some of the little quirks that it has to it, just by the nature of Barbatos' design. I know this slots in here, but for some reason, it doesn't want to. Even though this is totally how it's supposed to slot in here. And even though there's little sections in... Oh my god, wait. I think I know. This keeps falling off. Because I am not setting it correctly. I'm totally not setting it correctly. There's totally little slots here that this is supposed to go into. But yeah, there's these little checkpoints, which I think is fun conceptually. I heard good things about Arcane, so need to make time to watch it. Yeah, I would highly recommend. I'll get into my Arcane spiel once I figure out what the hell I'm doing with Barbatos. But there's these little checkpoints in the instructions, and I will not lie to you, they do not really help. At least at the point that I'm at right now, they really don't help. It's kind of like showing me what I already know, and what I already know is confusing. Because it just tells me to slot things into other things without fully, really explaining, how one thing slots into another thing, because Barbatos kind of has a lot of little slots and things going on. All these little bits of tubing and a lot of little holes and places for tubing bits to slot into. It doesn't do an amazing job at illustrating which slots, which things go into which slots. And how, I was one of the pieces I was supposed to thread through another piece, but the instructions did not tell me to thread it through the other piece. The only reason, I knew that I was supposed to thread it because it would not fit otherwise, but I was, initially not doing that, and then I realized that's not working, and then I started it through, and I was like, okay, well, actually, now this is working, so I guess, and then later, I looked at a later part of the instructions, and I'm like, oh, that's totally what I was supposed to do. So that has, so far, been my one gripe with Barbatos, but otherwise, this is, a fun build, and I really like it, and I understand why people love MG Barbatos, because this is all the little mechanics and all the little things are quite fun to put together. But anyway, I I heard good things about Armored Core. That's okay. I have no excuse now that I'm no longer moving. My PS4 is set up. I could 100% keep playing Armored Core. I have thought about Armored Core. You know what's really stupid? I was at my parents' house and I was watching my brother play Dark Souls 3 on his Xbox. I was watching my brother play Dark Souls 3 for a little bit, and I was like, I want to play Armored Core right now. But I was at my parents' house. I don't have my PS4 with me. And so I was like, why is right now when I feel the desire to play Armored Core when I physically can't because I am at my parents' house without my PS4? But that's another thing that I would like to get back on. But Arcane is really, really good. I watched season 1 when it was coming out, and like they did this funky thing with Arcane where they kind of did the week-to-week release schedule, and that was a little bit hell on earth because there's a lot of cliffhangers and a lot of really interesting things they do narratively, and it was a little bit agonizing to wait every single week, to wait weeks between episodes, and I was like, oh, I'm dying. I forgot 2 bee runners. I gotta find the other one now. But that is to say, season 1 is insanely good. I love Arcane. It is like one of my favorite pieces of animation that I have ever watched. It's really good, and I'm not gonna lie, it's like making me like Arcane. I've kind of like Western animation has kind of been winning a little bit lately. Like there's some bangers that have been produced by Western studios. Arcane is made by a French studio. There's also, I started watching, another show that I really have to finish. I started watching Blue Eye Samurai, which is insanely good. I'm only like 1 episode. I only watched like 2 episodes. But I stopped watching it not because it wasn't good, but because I'm bad at watching things. I was just talking about this with a friend earlier, but I have a horrible habit of like watching something 90% of the way through. Like I will watch 90% of it. I will get to like the second to last episode, and then I'll just stop for some reason. I truly do not know why I'm like this, but it is a thing that I do where I will watch something like 90% of the way through. I will get through a good chunk of it and I'll just stop. And not because I don't like it. I just am bad at watching things. Quite simply, I am just bad at watching things. And somehow I did manage to get through season 1 of Arcane. I finished it. It was amazing, and I was like so excited for season 2. I was like counting down to it. I was so into it. And then season 2 came out, and I just have not watched it. Okay, so what I'm doing right now is I'm rewatching season 1 of Arcane. Banger. And then just going straight into season 2, because season 2 leaves off. Season 1 ends at like an insane cliffhanger, and season 2 gets right into it. And I am very, I want to know what happened, but also I want the recap on season 1, and also I want to watch it again because season 1's really good. And all this is to say, I would highly recommend Arcane. And there's actually a couple other things that are like Western animated entities that I have seen people talking about that I'm like, that actually looks really good. A YouTuber that I like was talking about Pantheon, which is another Western animated show that was in like licensing jail for a long time. Like technically I think it came out a couple years ago, but it was in licensing jail for like a very long time. But just this year it came out and it got a global release on Netflix, and apparently it's really good. And I looked at it a little bit, like I looked at the trailers and about YouTubers like synopsis. I was like, This sounds so funky and interesting. Like something that is honestly beyond what I would normally expect of Western animation. I won't lie to you, I've never really had high hopes on Western animation, but honestly, like every other person, stuff like Spider-Verse and Arcane are really, really making me change my mind about Western animation. They've been pretty good. There's been some bangers. And there's a lot of stuff that I really want to try watching. I really want to finish Blue Eye Samurai. I really want to finish Arcane. Because also, the other nice thing is that it's like... The other nice thing is that it, like, both of these series, like, wrap up, like, the story, like, that's what you get. Arcane, apparently, season 2 is the series finale, which I really love, that they're not, like, unnecessarily drawing it out, which is honestly how I feel about a lot of Western television. And why I don't watch shonen. It's 1:05 p.m. here. I bought the Bandai Gundam Infinity Nova Trailblazer Integrated Tactical Assault Quad 1/100th model Monument Repair Kit, both perfect grade. I'm just like the model. I just like the model kit. Ooh. Are you kit bashing it? Wilson Works 1/60th Monument Repair Type. Are you planning on kit bashing it, or is it just like things that you're working on separately? That sounds neat. Master grade. Let me look up the Nova Trailblazer because I don't recall it off the top of my head. Google, my best friend. Bandai. There's my hand. I'm Googling it on my phone. And I'm holding my phone off screen. Ooh, wait, this thing looks really cool. I wish Google loads anything. Whoa, this thing is sick. Whoa, I love the the crazy back unit. I am such a sucker for crazy back units. I really am. The colors on this guy is so cool too. This thing is so cool. Yeah. Oh my god. I hope you have fun with that. I kind of want to get it now. Definitely going to be adding it to my list. That thing looks so cool. I didn't even know that came out. Though I will say I have fallen a little bit behind on new gunpla releases. I think this. Where does this actually go? Those slot in there. These. See, this is kind of what I mean when I say this is kind of not very good at telling me like where things are supposed to slot in. Because I kind of just have to guess that that's how it goes. This go? Because this... Oh, wait. Yeah, this slots into here, and this slides up to here. But then it doesn't, but then it does. So this slides up to here. Then it doesn't. But this does, and then this goes into here. Okay. Okay. Beautiful. Amazing. Anyhow, I've been trying to kick my habit of just of just garbage media. I love House MD. I think it's like House MD has its moments. But I do definitely, House MD does suffer a little bit from being garbage media because it's, listen, it's something that's like peak I put on in the background. I do sometimes just sit down and watch them sit. I'm just waiting for them to ship out. So I wanted to get my feet wet with Perfect Grade before I go to high grade and MG since I'm new with Gundam. I put perfect grades are harder than high grades and master grades. Usually how it is high grades are the easier kits to put together. They're all 1/144th scale, but they're not super complicated. They're usually tend to be more simplified designs. And then after high grade is master grade and real grade, which are both master grades are 1/100th scale. Perfect grades are also 1/144th scale. And then perfect grades are 1/60th scale. Those are the big guys. And perfect grades usually are really big and very complicated. A jump at the deep end starting with with 2 non-Bandai kits. Heard good things about both kits, so you should be fine. Yeah. It is like I've had mixed results with non-Bandai kits. The mostly I've done most of the non-Bandai stuff that I've done is Kotobukiya, which is pretty good. But I hope it works out well because this guy looks really cool. At least the 1/100th scale one looks really cool. Honestly, if you told me it was a Gundam, I would probably believe you. But I really hope that it works out because that sounds really interesting. I would love to hear updates about that. The design looks really cool, and I always love trying other types of model kits. Just to see what they're like. I think there totally is. There another one of these? I think there totally is. I forgot that there's a second one that I also have to go dig up now. Otherwise, I won't have 2 of these when I need 2 of them. Oh. How do I do this to myself? Got it. That one wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. But, yeah, I'm thinking about what else there is for me. I mean, maybe I should be more specific. I'm also working on a Megami device. I've also been working on a Megami device lately. That's something that's on a back burner. There's a couple of kits that honestly I've kind of had put on hold because of the whole moving thing, but I really want to get back into them. I've also, for some reason, I'm not entirely sure why, but I don't know. I like other types of model kits too, and crafts and things like that. And for some reason, for the past several months now, a lot of people in my life have been. Several people. I don't want to say a lot, but several people in my life have been gifting me those little diorama paper craft kits. And I'm not quite sure why it's become a pattern now, because I know that they've existed for a long time, but I have I've gotten 3 of them in the past 2 months. It's it's just kind of crazy. Thank you for subscribing! I bet PG is a good starter before all those. View Deference Repair Type is a third-party remix of the Tallgeese. Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah. That's kind of... I've never heard of starting with Perfect Grade, but if you've already worked on other model kits, I think it may still be fun for you. Especially when it comes to speaking from Bandai kits and how they tend to do perfect grades. like gunpla perfect grades. Usually those are the hardest ones to do. So it is a bit just jumping into the deep end, but if it's something that works out better for you, yeah, no worries. I would say if you're completely new to, whenever I meet people that are like completely new to Gundam, and model kits, I always recommend high grade. Honestly, the entry grades exist now. If you truly have never touched a model kit in your life, entry grade, but if you're someone who's already at least somewhat familiar with model kits, I would say high grade or even master grade would be a good time, depending on how experienced you are with model kits. But usually for new people, I recommend high grades because they tend to be kind of the simplest ones to do, besides entry grades. But honestly, I am not the biggest fan. I mean, entry grade is called an entry grade for a reason. It's like 2 runners and you pop them out, and that's kind of it. So this is supposed to rotate. I rotate this up and down. Okay. And then I get something from the E-runner, which is the multicolored one. Excellent, excellent. But I'm really glad when people get into Gundam. I think it's really cool, and if this helps you at all, I'm glad. I would definitely love to hear any updates on those kits that once you get them and you start working on them. And I think, like, it is a little bit tossing yourself into the deep end, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's a bad thing. My first gunpla I'd ever built was a master grade. And I did just fine. I had a good time. It was actually, my very first gunpla was one of the older master grades, which tend to be a lot more finicky and more difficult compared to newer master grades. And now that I've built several other old master grades, usually older master grades tend to be like really hard on the gimmicks. Sometimes to the detriment of how like easy of a build it is. And despite all that, I still had a really good time with that kit. And I still love Gunpla. I think it worked out pretty well for me, actually, even though I built a kit that usually probably would not be one's first choice on starting Gunpla. But really, it just depends on what you like. And I've since built a bunch of high grades. I'll get HG and MG and RG next time. Yeah. The way I would describe it, so HG is probably the simplest. They're the simplest design-wise. They're 1/144th scale. They're 144th scale. I push this forward. Does it go up? No, I think it's supposed to go down. I'm supposed to push this backward. Like I said, they're not super clear with how certain things are supposed to slot into other things. Barb time! It is Barbie time. I'm very happy that I finally get to build this kit. But, yeah, and then after high grades, some people say RG and MG, like sometimes people say master grades are harder than real grades. But I don't know, I would say real grades are harder than master grades, mostly because they're smaller scale than than master grades, because they're also 1/144th scale, and they're very detailed despite being so small. Meanwhile, master grades are quite detailed, but at least because they're a little bigger, I find it easier. But again, it depends on the person. Okay, now I have to track down the eye runner. Wait. I think. Pretty sure it's one of the white ones, unless it isn't. Unless it totally isn't. Oh, that's my light. I accidentally bumped the runner into the light. Sorry about the noises. Oh, we found it. It's actually the blue pieces. But I don't really think there's like a right or a wrong way to get into Gunpla. If you're getting into it, that is the right way, actually. It's correct for everyone to be building gunpla. Doesn't really matter what it is. I just think it's better when everyone builds gunpla. And whatever is more fun for you. Fun fact, one of the other... Oh, I know what I'm gonna work on. One of the other kits that I started recently was actually the 711 RX-78 that I got for my birthday. I started it recently while watching the Great British Bake Off. One of my friends was like, you gotta watch the new season of British Bake Off. I was like, okay. I mean, I like Great British Bake Off. It's not something that I'm like super caught up with, but it's definitely something I've enjoyed putting on before. And I'm like, I think it's pretty neat. And she's like, you gotta watch the new season. There's this guy in there who's super hot. And I'm like, this is British Bake Off. I am no stranger to like reality television. It is a guilty pleasure of mine. I do like watching some trashy reality television shows just for fun. And a lot of the time, they kind of just fill the show with like people who are inhumanly beautiful. And I like come to expect that from most reality shows, but Great British Bake Off is different because the whole premise is that they take, the competitors are all bakers who are just normal people. Also depends on the kit sometimes. Everyone loves the RG Hainu Gundam, but lots of people struggle with the RG Crossbone Gundam. That too. It really does depend. Like, I have built the RG Hainu, which is phenomenal, but I've also built, listen, it hurts me to slander my favorite mobile suit, but the RG Unicorn is definitely a huge pain. Not that I didn't like it. I'm obviously biased. The Unicorn is my favorite mobile suit, but I still think that it was pretty difficult of a build that might not be as fun for people that are new to Gundam. So, but again, it also depends. Like, my first Gundam was one that some people said were not like the best build to start with, but I still had a good time. But it really does depend on kit to kit. Honestly, I would recommend, like, usually, at least these days, I don't always do this just because I think I'm pretty good at, like, I kind of am good enough at dealing with Gundam that I'm like, I can deal with whatever is handed to me. But when I was newer to it, I would always watch reviews on kits before I bought them. I'd look at a few different reviews of a kit before I bought them. So it really depends on, like, what makes the most sense. Because if someone is saying that this is very tedious, and also I'm a little obsessive. I'd always look at several reviews before I bought something, because I'm like, well, what if I like it? What if I don't like it? Am I supposed to snip this? Oh no. I'm totally supposed to keep that. Okay, good thing I didn't snip that. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a should have or shouldn't have. It's really just like is generally better for most people. But also, yeah, if maybe you don't have the best time with these kits, it might be good to, like, instead of kind of just being like, maybe this isn't for me, it might be good to look at like a high grade or a master grade. That's from Bandai. But maybe you're gonna have fun with this. There isn't really like a right or wrong way. But I hope either way it helps you, and I hope either way that you continue model kits and you enjoy getting into Gundam. I love when people get into gunpla. It's a beautiful hobby, and I love getting people into it. It's more just like, it's fine to dunk on the Arch Unicorn. The transformation trick will always make it a complicated build. Yeah, that's kind of exactly it. Like, the whole transformation mechanic is fun. I think it's neat, and it, like, really does add to the flavor of the kit, because I'm like, oh my god, it's just like in Gundam Unicorn. You know, I saw it happening in the anime, and now I get to do it in real life. But it makes the build so complicated. Makes it so complicated. And honestly, I think if I wasn't so attached to the unicorn, I would have disliked it a lot more. But I am incredibly biased, and I still liked it. Enough that I also got the RG Banshee Norn. So, and I did it all over again. But back to the tangent I was going on about reality television. I am no stranger to to trashy reality television, and I'm used to. I like British Bake Off because it's about like normal people, and thus all the contestants like are normal people and seem like regular people that I would just I would encounter. I could walk into the grocery store and see someone that could be on the Great British Bake Off, except for the fact that I'm not British. But you know, for the sake of my point. But I was like, I don't know, man. I was like a little bit not really knowing what to expect. Then I watched the new season, and they were like going through the contestants, and I was like, okay, yeah, these are normal people that I like watching on Great British Bake Off. That's like part of the charm of it. I like seeing just like normal people on a cooking competition show, because they're just like, it's such a nice watch. And then they get to this guy, and I'm like, where did they find this guy? Because he, you're looking at all the other contestants, and they're kind of just regular people that I would expect to be on Great British Bake Off. And then it gets to this guy who looks like he stepped out of an Abercrombie catalog. And I'm like, what are you doing here? But then he makes a banger Petite Four. And I'm like, wait. Yeah. He's actually quite endearing. And seems to be, I haven't finished the season yet, because we've been watching it together. But I've been watching it together with my friend. But if this goes this way, I'm wrong. This totally goes this way. And then this slots into here somewhere that is once again not very clear. Not very clear where the heck this slots into. I kind of have no idea. This is here. I have this piece. And then it just tells me to put this piece into the other piece. And I'm like, okay, I guess. But how? And then I have to look at but I think that's not right. This doesn't feel right. Unless it is. Unless it is? It feels like, because I'm using this to cover up another, like, detail part. Like, something that has detail molded into it. I'm like, shouldn't this be, like, visible? Because it's a part where you can see the detail molded in. But maybe it's supposed to be layered anyway? But anyhow, I've been having fun watching my kind of popcorn media. But also, I think I kind of gotta stop. I'm like, I gotta stop. I must stop this. This is this way. Unless I'm using totally the wrong one. That's actually the answer. That I was totally using the wrong piece. But also, yeah, I guess the part that has detail molded into it gets covered up by this other piece. Which I don't think is wrong. There's another kit that I did that was like that. I believe, I want to say, it might have been God Gundam. It might have been MG God Gundam, because I remember a lot of the inner armor bits had these like really intricately molded detail. It had this really intricately molded detailing on it that got covered up with the armor either way, because it's the inner frame, and then you cover it with the outer armor. But I thought it was just like a really nice little flavor detail to it, where it like really does feel like I'm putting it together. This week is my last week off of work, then I go back January 6th. Oh, yeah. That really is how it is. Good luck. Good luck with your work. I hope getting back isn't too painful. Align the holes and fill the parts, but I don't know where. I think this goes like under here, but it's not very clear actually. Because this definitely slots into this. This definitely slots in like this, because I don't know how else it is going to slot in. But this, I do not know. Oh, now it's fallen apart. Oh. And things are happening that I don't want it to. And once again, I kind of have no idea how the heck this slots into here, because it doesn't really tell me. Theoretically, this... Oh, I think I understand. I think I kind of get it. Where this slots in like this. And then... Wait. But now am I covering those now? I don't think so. I think this slots in like this. Unless it doesn't. Unless it does. This slots in like this. I don't cover the holes. And then this goes on top of here. Oh my god! But also, I think I slotted it. I think I was supposed to slot it differently. So that this still catches on the other holes. I'm pretty sure. I take this off. I slot this in. I slot this in. I see those alignment holes and try and line them up with these alignment holes. And then I take this and then I see it lined up with those alignment holes and then I snap that in there. And I think that's a success. Beautiful. I love gunpla when I'm good at it. I love gunpla when I'm good at it. Yeah, I am not someone that I think, despite how long I've been building gunpla, I don't really think I'm someone who'll be winning speed building competitions anytime soon. But it is simply the way things are. And I'm fine with that. I work at an automotive manufacturer on an assembly line as an operator. That's pretty cool. I've actually been trying to get manufacturing jobs. I'm trying to get a manufacturing job. They're not in automotive. I would like to actually use my aerospace degree, which I didn't at my last job. I was just a mechanical engineer. I'm trying to get into aerospace manufacturing. We're seeing how that's working out, but I'm trying my best. And we're seeing how that goes. Good luck at work though. E-runner. Anyhow, I am trying to like be a person again. It's pretty, we're getting there. I have like time, which is nice, and I'm like trying to get back into, I've been trying to get back more into like media analysis stuff because it's something that I've loved for a long time. I like literary and media analysis to the point where I have a fun fact about me. I have a minor in literature. Despite not even remotely having a degree that has anything to do with literature. But I got a minor in literature just because I wanted to, just because I love like analyzing and understanding media and writing about it. And I feel like I haven't done it in a while just because I don't know, I've been going through a lot and I didn't really have it in me to, I guess I didn't really have it in me. It didn't feel like I did. But I feel like I've been doing better, and I really want to get back into media analysis. But media analysis requires having media to analyze. A lot of the media that I've been consuming is not really things that are like really that worthy of analysis. I mean, of course, not to say that there's really any piece of media that is impossible to analyze critically to like a certain extent. Like, I've been addicted to House MD, and it is a little bit of like garbage television, but it is also like not without its merits. And there is something to say, like, there's a reason why the show is so compelling, and how it is like such a masterclass of like how to make an unlikable protagonist. And it's the kind of show where I see, now that I'm like watching House, I see the DNA of House in a lot of other pieces of media, like movies and shows that also had like unlikable protagonists, because House kind of is a little bit of like the blueprint of a lot of just unlikable unlikable protagonists. But there's like, you really have to strike such a fine balance to carry a show like House, where the protagonist just sucks. Like, he's not really a good person. He's always mean. And it's very easy to just like take that and kind of look at House on the surface and be like, well, people still like House. Like, as a viewer, people still like House. And thus, I can make my protagonist as mean as I want, and they'll still be likable, because people like mean protagonists. But that is not necessarily the case. That is not necessarily the case, because House himself has, like, aspects of him that still ground his character in humanity, even though he's really mean to everyone and is so cruel to even the people who love him the most, despite him being a terrible person. There's like something, the show does a really good job of showing these like glimpses of humanity in House, of like, despite him being a terrible person and mean to everyone else in his life, there's still like, you understand his motivations pretty deeply and why he kind of is the way that he is. And it's pretty sympathetic. Like, he has lived like a really difficult life and has been through some difficult things, and it makes sense. But it's also like, he was kind of like that even before he experienced these things. But also, like, I don't know, man. I like House. I think that he's actually a very compelling character, and that's why House MD is kind of such the iconic show that it is. And it's not just because haha House is mean, but it's that House is actually written so deliberately that despite him being mean, he's still likable. You still, in your heart, you still want him to be okay. And thus you keep watching the show, because it's entertaining to see, it is a bit entertaining to see him being mean to people. But it is also like, wait, this gets covered up? Does this get up? This does get covered up. The gold piece gets covered up. Well, that's kind of cool though. I know, because the, like, in here is where the pilot thing is. Media analysis of Witch from Mercury when I finish Witch from Mercury. I know, I'm terrible. I really do. I think that... Okay, wait, now I have to find whatever the heck that H runner is. Okay. Oh. That's really cool though. I like that. I like that. Where instead of it being a sticker, the red is like a separate piece that you connect to it. instead of it being just like, instead of it just being like a sticker. Because I've built, yeah, that's so cool, where the red is like a whole other piece and you actually, and it actually does look like it's something. It's like clear. That's neat. I like that a lot. This snaps into here somehow. I feel like this is not as secure as it's supposed to be. There we go. That feels more secure, yeah. Media analysis of Witch from Mercury when I finish Witch from Mercury. When I stop being terrible and I actually finish Witch from Mercury. And anyway, that's the chest unit. That's the chest unit. I, despite my several difficulties, still did enjoy building the chest unit. It's honestly one of my favorite features of the Barbatos, as it is with most people. I just think it's really neat stylistically. It's very unique compared to a lot of other gunpla. And I just think it's really cool. It just looks really cool. It came together in an interesting way. Now that I'm like, even now that I'm like finished with this part, despite the several struggles I had, it looks so cool and it came together in like a really interesting way. I'm excited to keep going. I think we're going to build his head, and that's probably when I'll call it, depending on how long it takes. I don't want to cut this stream too early because I like hanging out. I watched season 1. I watched season 1 of Witch from Mercury. I have not watched season 2 of Witch from Mercury. I really like, see, this is what I mean, where I'm like, I love starting shows. I don't love finishing shows. And I need A. I need E. Nice, simple, and then the sticker sheet. Yeah. Okay. I have watched season 1 of Witch from Mercury. I have not watched season 2 of Witch from Mercury. And I could definitely talk about season 1, which honestly I'd want to rewatch it. It's been a while. But I feel like I can't really talk about it in a full picture way because I have not watched season 2. I am terrible. I have not yet watched it. At least I say that. I haven't finished it. I watched season 1. Season 1 is really good. I really like how they kind of did. I actually, you know, I feel like a lot of people didn't like the school part of season 1, but I liked the school part of season 1. It felt like they were doing something different, and I like that they went for it. And I don't think they executed it badly. I think it's an interesting way to like introduce these characters and get to know them. Media analysis of Rosa Versailles or Revolutionary Girl Utna. Oh my god, I will not lie to you. One of my dreams is to like write something about Revolutionary Girl Utna. I feel like I could also write something about Rosa Versailles. Though honestly, it's been a long time since I've read Rosa Versailles, and it hasn't been as long since I've watched Utna. But actually, they're making a new Rosa Versailles anime that I believe is being animated by Mappa. I may be wrong, but I saw a trailer for it, and it looked really good, and I will definitely be watching it, because Rosa Versailles is really good. But Revolutionary Girl Utna, I have so much I could say about Revolutionary Girl Utna. I feel like that's like, I think the thing that keeps me from like writing a lot about Revolutionary Girl Utena is that I feel like a lot of the things I have to say are things that have already been said. I love, like, Revolutionary Girl Utena has so much to, like, look at and analyze and pick apart, which is one of the reasons why I love it. But because there's so much to analyze and pick apart, for years since it came out, and thus I just feel like there isn't really anything new that I have to say. But I really do. I love Revolutionary Girl Utena. And there's so much to say about it. And there's so much to love about it. It's such a masterpiece of a show. Which way does this goes in here? Yeah, it's such a masterpiece of a show. And if one can stomach its kind of the first half of the show, the first half of Utena is not like super intense, but the second half gets super intense when it comes to its theming. What that is to like, so for it to really delve into its themes about like identity and love and it's so good. I love Utena. I need this one. Someday. My answer to that is maybe someday. Honestly, I will probably, once the Rose of Versailles anime comes out, I will probably talk about it. I will probably have a lot to say about it. So I guess my answer to that is maybe someday, and also probably when the anime comes out. But that is something I would like to do. Where the heck? Oh, it's the funky green one. Injection molding is so fascinating. Now that I've worked like directly with injection molding and injection molded manufacturing, I'm like, it's so fascinating. Which may sound so incredibly boring, but it is not for me. So this is supposed to go on top of this, but how? Where? Why? I'm just guessing. Actually, I think I'm not guessing anymore. I think I'm right. But does not change the fact that it felt like I was guessing. Honestly, I don't think I'm gonna put on the stickers. I think it's pretty alright. I don't think I need to. I don't really think I need to, because it tells me to put those stickers on, but honestly, I like the green without the stickers. I think it would... Funny thing is Code Geass started with a school as well, sadly, which got hit bad because people were expecting a tone similar to IBO. Yeah, I think that's also it, because it was the anime, unless you count, like, not count, excluding the Build series, it was the anime that directly followed IBO, and I can kind of see why people were expecting tonally something similar to IBO, but I'm not surprised because Gundam has been all over the place tonally. Each series kind of has its own things going on. I mean, some of the UC stuff is pretty universal, but a lot of the other like non-UC Gundam stuff tends to be pretty like all over the place tonally. So I didn't really expect Witch from Mercury to be just like IBO, because IBO is kind of its own thing. Of course, every Gundam anime like has its similarities when it comes to like themes like war and youth and things like that. And obviously, there's always a Char clone, but for the most part, I didn't really expect it to be similar to IBO, but I also agree with you that I think a reason why people bashed the school section of Witch from Mercury is that they expected IBO and was really surprised that we're getting this like anime, that we're getting this like school tournament arc instead. Though I don't think it's right to knock the school tournament arc, because it still had its like intensity to it. Like there were still like quite a bit of stakes in the school tournament arc system, because there's everything about like Ceres and about the others that kind of have like that appropriately feel like they're living in a Gundam series where they have felt they are at least somewhat familiar with like the consequences of war, and you know, but they're still, you know, has that vibe of them being naive students. But I think it set up Suletta really well, because I kind of love how I honestly kind of love how out of place Suletta felt. We look forward and not check the past. Yeah. I really actually kind of like how out of place Suletta felt, because everyone else, even though they were naive high schoolers, they still felt like they were in a Gundam show. Like, they were serious about the tournament aspect of it and fighting in their mech suits and having their own circumstances and feeling the consequences of like the political machinations of this world, and like they felt like they were within a Gundam universe. But Suletta, for like the entire first half of the show, like did not feel like she was in the same show. She, like, the way the scale at which her problems were compared to everyone else's was like so different. You know, like everyone else was worried about like, are my parents gonna die? Am I going to be hate crimed? Meanwhile, Suletta is like, oh my god, does he like me back? My god, how do I make friends with the cool kids? I just want them to notice me. Like, and it was so crazy to just like see Suletta, like she should have been the protagonist of like a shoujo anime, dropped into a Gundam series. It was kind of crazy, but I feel like that did a really good job of like setting up her character, especially at the end of season plot twist, and how the show like completely changes, and how Suletta is still Suletta. But it's also like, okay, I don't know the spoilers for season 2. I've actually done a pretty decent job of avoiding most of the season 2 spoilers, so I kind of don't really know what happens. Like, I have my theories, but I don't really know what happens. Like, I, like most people, think that the girl at the very beginning and Suletta are two different people. You know, I think they're two different people, but I think they are connected. I think Suletta's mom is really sketchy. I don't trust her. But I want to find out what happens. And I think I will at some point. And I know I keep saying that. And it will happen at some point, because I do like Witch from Mercury. And yeah, I don't think the school section was bad. I think it did a good job to establish like the characters for who they are, and I like when Gundam does things that are kind of interesting and different compared to other Gundam series. That's kind of what they've always done, and I like when they do that. Like, one of my favorite Gundam series is, as objectively correct, G Gundam. G Gundam is insane. I love G Gundam. Who doesn't love G Gundam? It's just like Gundam was like, what if we made a shonen martial arts anime? And then they did. And then they did. And it's like, okay, I guess that's what we're doing now. And they just like kind of hard commit to whatever's happening. And I like that they do that. Whenever Gundam does like kind of weird, interesting concept stuff, I like that they do that. This is spot somewhere. Oh, wait. This is supposed to go this way, and thus it slots in. I might want to get my. No, I'm actually correct in how this goes. I won't be needing my tweezers. But I know a bunch of stuff happens in season 2. I like the end of season 1 and end of season plot twist. I also really like, I like this Ghoul portion because we get characters like Ghoul. I was not expecting to like him as much as I did. I literally I have a little plushie of Ghoul. I love Ghoul. Plus, Gundam manga side stories are wild regardless of the timeline. Want samurai mecha? Here's Astray and Vera. Well, if you want pirate mecha, here's Cross. Yeah, exactly. Like, I love that Gundam like hard commits to all its crazy concept stuff, both in the anime and the mangas, which go insane. Like Gundam Wing was one of my favorites, and Gundam Wing is this like kind of introspective character drama, and I was like, let's go. I love Gundam Wing. I love Gundam Wing. I think it's the closest we have to shoujo anime and Gundam, and I love that, and it makes me quite happy. I'm someone who loves shoujo. I think it's really funny. This one actually one of the things that I kind of wanted to talk about that now I have a natural segue into. I love shoujo, and I think people need to. I like really wish it was taken more seriously, because at least from like the greater, not that it never does, but like at least not from the greater populace. Because when when the author of Dan Da Dan was forced to sit there and read 100 shoujo series, that's correct. There's like this one screenshot from Gekkan Shoujo Nozaki-kun that I love to pull out. That's just, I hope you read, I don't remember the exact quote, but it was literally like, I hope you read some shoujo manga and and learn to have learn what emotions are, and like grow some feelings, because I think any good story has to have it's gotta have the human aspect to it. You can't make like something that's good without it having like a human aspect to it. And I love that even like the most action Gundam series still has that. Gundam is just really well written. Regardless, I mean, I can't say all of them are well written. There's been some stinkers. I say that as someone whose first Gundam anime was Gundam Seed. Literal mess. But I can't be that surprised considering it's of like the 2000s mecha era. And the 2000s mecha era was probably the worst. Again, I'm not that old. I'm a child of the 2000s. I was born in the 2000s, but I'm a child who grew up in the 2000s, and that's my favorite reference. But it truly does kind of feel like the worst era for mech anime, because most mecha anime that came out during the 2000s is all stuff that's like Seed and God, what was that other one that I actually rewatched not that long ago? I have to Google this because I feel like I'm insane. But it was one where the soundtrack was done by Hiroyuki Sawano. And he did... That's it. Where's the other one? It was... I don't care about Attack on Titan. Aldino Zero, that's what it was. It was like of the era. Again, I should probably fact check when Aldino Zero came out. It very well could not. It very well might not have come out in the... Aldino Zero totally came out in... like... Okay, wait. Google. When did it come out? Wow, this show totally came out in 2014. I love that I just, like, mind erased myself. I watched it when it came out. I love that I totally, like, mind erased it. Because it's not good. It's really not good. And I consider Seed, like, in the same bucket as Aldino Zero. in the sense that it is definitely leaning a lot more into the male wish fulfillment side of things instead of like having a good story side of things, where the main character is kind of just like a bland self-insert protagonist, and he's just the coolest guy all the time. I thought it came out later. I don't know why. I thought Aldino Zero came out early. But you thought it came out later. That's insane. And genuinely, for years, I watched Aldino Zero when it came out. I didn't really like it. And I remember, like, for years, sometimes I would make a joke about how the one thing I'll give Aldino Zero is that the music is insanely good because it's done by Hiroyuki Sawano, who's extremely talented. Who's an extremely talented composer. And I was like, I would joke sometimes about how Aldino Zero is one of those shows that has a really good soundtrack that it doesn't deserve. Am I stupid? Oh, I'm not. It's just really small. People are like, no, I thought Aldino Zero was pretty good. And I was like, there's no way we're thinking about the same show. And then, literally, like, last year, I rewatched Aldino Zero, and it was bad. It is not good. It is not a good show. I feel like the only reason why people liked it is because the soundtrack is really good, and the battle kind of theme in Aldino Zero is insanely good, and the showrunners, like, they know how to use it, like, at maximum effectiveness. That's kind of the only thing that I am willing to give Aldino Zero credit for, is that was actually pretty sick. But I only thought it was newer due to Gen Killamal Jr. Gen Killamal Jr. Urabuchi working on it. Yeah, I forgot Gen Urabuchi worked on that. You know, I would not say it's one of his best works. I would not say it's one of his best works. And I honestly forgot that it was something that he was part of. I totally doing one. Probably this one. I really could just use my tweezers to do this and have an easier time, but I love making my life more difficult than it needs to be. Anyhow, yeah. It's certainly not his best work, and I genuinely forgot. But anyhow, I think people just juke themselves into thinking it's good because it had a really good battle theme and it made everything feel so cool. Like, way cooler than it actually is. Like, every single problem in that show is solved because of how cool the MC is and how he just knows everything at the right time for kind of no reason. Like, there were, like, definitely things. I think literally in episode 1, he, like, predicted an explosion that was about to happen that triggered the rest of the plot, and they just, like, never explained why he knows this. Because it was set up in a way that he has some, like, special power that no one else has. And that's why he knew what was going to happen. But truly, the explanation was he's just that good. And I'm like, what do you mean he's just that good? Like, he's just a guy. Anyway, that's literally the whole show. Is just like, oh my god, everything is terrible. And sometimes they'll knock him around a little. You know, they don't want to, like, just give him the win every single time. Sometimes they'll knock him around a little, but inevitably they wouldn't do it for that long. Because they can't actually have him lose. There will always, and it's never like anyone else who figures anything out. It's always just him, the main character, who always knows the correct thing to do all the time. And it drives me insane. Terrible. Seed is also kind of like that. I wouldn't say it's as bad, but it definitely does suffer from, they just want the main character to be really cool and to have everyone like him. And so that's what's going to happen, is that we're just going to make him really cool. We're going to make everyone like him. Oh. I definitely think there's something that's also supposed to go here that I haven't put there, unless there isn't. But, wait, focus, please, please, refocus on his head. Yay! Look, he's got a head! He's got his little head. It was really cool. I really like the Barbatos V-fin. It looks really sick. His head is really cool. I like the little green. I think the sticker was actually supposed to go behind the clear, now that I'm looking at it, to make it kind of look like it's glowing, like it does in the anime, but I didn't do that, and I guess that's, you know, I've already put this together. Actually, okay. I mean, it's not like it was that hard to put together. I can just kind of take it apart again. Ooh. That was almost really bad. Because as soon as I took off this piece, this one decided to fly into the ether. Which is not what I want. This guy. And then we take off this guy. Where's my tweezers? I remember this like kind of slotted in funky. There we go. And then these two pieces came together, switched in here. That's how base got put into there. And the stickers, just spot this out a little, if I can, without breaking it. Aldino is mid, but at least the premise of real robot versus super robot, yeah. I thought the premise would be kind of interesting, but then it wasn't. Anyway, I think I'm an idiot. Wait a minute. What is this actually? I think I totally was supposed to put the stickers on top, but I didn't because I didn't want to. And I've now just taken this whole thing apart for kind of no reason. Because now it's telling me to put the sticker on top of the eye, but I don't want to do that because I think it'll be ugly. I'm gonna put one just to see how it makes me feel. I'll put one just to see how it makes me feel, and then I'll take it off if I don't like it. It wants me to do this, and I don't really want to do this. Or I totally just took this all apart for no reason. This freaking sticker. I thought, because I've seen that before where sometimes kits will put like a metallic sticker behind a clear part so that it like kind of stands out more, but there's no place for me to do that on this kit. There's not really a place for me to stick this to that goes behind it, because this is also like just kind of chunky. It isn't really like, I'm not supposed to do that. And I was completely wrong. And they totally just wanted me to put the sticker on top of the clear part. But I don't want to do that because it's going to look ugly. And I just took this whole thing apart. Well, I guess I'll just put it back together. It's not like it was that hard. That actually went pretty smoothly. And I know how it comes together, so it wasn't that bad. I know. I'm simply overreacting for fun. for jest. Worry not. I'm fine. The only kind of annoying thing will be putting these guys back where they were, but it's, you know, I kind of know how it goes. I think. Unless I'm totally wrong. No, I'm not. I know the way that this goes. It's just a little difficult because there's so little, and it's definitely something I could fix, but I could make easier by using my tweezers that are right there. I'm not going to. For also no reason. But luckily this head piece is not that hard to put back together, and I'm just gonna keep the clear where it is and not put stuff. Because I'm a little upset that this kit only came with decals. I may go online because I know a lot of kits have like the alternate decals, because I literally for my real grade unit 01, the real grade unit 01 originally came with just stickers that looked awful, that were so ugly. I'm like, this is terrible. But then I went online and turns out you could buy water slides of the exact same decals for the RG unit 01. That's exactly what I did, and it looks a lot better. And so I'm sure for like a kit that's this popular, they definitely have like dry rub, probably water slide, most likely water slide versions of the decal, so that I'm not just stuck here applying. Wait, I actually have them. Actually, I kept them. Well, I didn't. I keep all of them, but instead of just applying like stickers, because they're gonna look ugly. I don't like stickers. I'm so biased against stickers. I think they're ugly. I don't like them, and I hate applying them. Even though water slides are way more tedious, I much prefer them because at least, even though I am suffering, I'm gonna end up with like a nice thing at the end. And so now we have a head and a torso, and we can put his little head on his torso, and we have the beginnings. Very happy. Very cool. I think I will hold off on starting his arms for next week. I think this is like a good time because also I'm hungry and I want lunch. I didn't have lunch before this. I had my yogurt cup this morning and I have not had lunch yet. I'm hungry. So I think it's about time for me to sign off. I had a good time. I'm really glad we finished the chest unit and the head unit. And now he's like starting to look like Barbatos. Barbie is coming together. I'm very happy. It's really cool. Despite some of the difficulties in the instructions, I still think this is a fun build, and I think I'll continue to think it's a fun build because I like Barbatos. Barbatos is just a really cool Gundam. I still gotta finish that Barbatos kit bash that I started a while back of high grade Barbatos, and the 30-Minute Sister has released model kits of like there are 30-Minute Sister expansions and 30-Minute Sister kits that are like, oh yeah, they're Gundam girls, where they make girls based off of mobile suits. And I think they're neat conceptually, but the execution wise is kind of terrible because they just look like girls that they slap armor on top of. They don't actually look like robot and like mecha girls, they just look like regular girls. I want like them to look like robots. So I started kit bashing Barbatos one, and I started it and I haven't finished it because advanced kit bashing project I've ever like really taken on, and I want to like finish it so that I can move on to more complicated kit bashes and do funky cool things. But that is just where I'm at right now. I like Barbatos' design. It's a mobile suit that I quite like. I like IBO. It's a good anime. And yeah, I think I'm happy. I like how Barbatos is going so far, and I will be back next week. I think I'm not taking next week off either. I may take off a weekend in January probably the 18th, if anything. If I'm taking a week off in January, it'll probably be the 18th. And really happy for everyone who showed up. Despite this kind of off the regular time, spontaneous stream that I really could have taken the week off of, but I'm really happy that you guys still came, and I hope it's been a good time. And I'm probably gonna go make a sandwich and watch Arcane. I think that's my plan for today. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and I shall see you all next week. Bye bye!